Hi everyone, Raphael Harry here, and you're listening to White Label American, a podcast where we hear stories from an immigrant or two, sometimes more. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we begin, I would like to give a shout out to Martha, Elena, Sarah, Danielle, Jeff, Mark, Serena, and Brenda. Your support on Patreon is always appreciated. Thank you for your fantastic support and appreciate y'all. And y'all can join them in building a fantastic community and help us grow this podcast and take us to the next level. And there'll be more on how to do that. And if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, please feel free to do that and join us. Growing a great community. So without much further ado, we jump forward to today's guest. He's Ameer Shamsu, right? And he's also known as BlackMan Da Traveler. That's it, right?
Yeah, you did BlackMan Da Traveler.
Alrighty. So he's a blogger, and as his name said, he's a traveler. And there's more to him, but he's an all-round fine person who he's going to give us a whole lot about himself. And I was drawn to this gentleman because I think he's a simple guy, but he's just an honest, gentle, and sweet dude. So without much further ado, welcome on the show, man. How you doing?
I'm alright, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for actually letting me come on the show and actually, speak to the people and give people the knowledge of what I really do and how I started and what my aim is to be.
Alrighty. It's always my pleasure to have cool people like yourself here. So before we get deep into the show, let's start from the very beginning. I love your name, and your name just sounds so, shall I say, organic. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful name. That's just the best way to put it. So, is there a history to your name? Can you break it down for someone like me?
My real name Ameer or my YouTube name BlackMan Da Traveler?
Well, let's go with Ameer Shamsu, both of them, your first and last name.
Yeah, so obviously my name Ameer it means prince in Arabic. So my mum and my father gave me that name from when I was a child. Shamsu is my last name, is my father's name. And BlackMan Da Traveler, I used to call myself Blackman when I was a teenager. So I had to have like a little nickname. So I thought to myself, okay, I had a little bum fluff, like a little hair coming out of my chin.
Oh, is that London speak bum fluff?
Yeah.
I'm used to goatee. That's all I'm used to. So
no, bum fluff.
Bum fluff. All right. I think I like that
better. Thank you. So I was looking at myself in the mirror. I think I was like 14, and I said to myself, "Oh, I'm I'm black, but what goes with black?" And then I just had a little bum fluff, and I said BlackMan. So then that name just stuck with me from when I was a little kid. And then the whole concept of BlackMan Da Traveler.
Okay, wait. Don't go into BlackMan Da Traveler. That's spoiler. It's too early. I just wanted to get Ameer Shamsu. It's a beautiful name. I really love it. But I didn't realize that Ameer was Arabic. He had an Arabic. Arabic for prince.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's beautiful. That just shows how. I was watching Bruce Lee's documentary on ESPN. Be Like Water or Be Water. I keep messing up the title, and the influence on Bruce Lee's life. How when he started his kung fu school in Seattle, his very first student was a black person who became his good friend, and right from time in the martial arts. Mixing up. There's always been martial arts and hip hop mixing. Right? We've always contributed to each other's communities, which nowadays we don't really tend to give credit to each other. But there's always been people mixing up, and it's something that it didn't begin now. It's something that's always gone on right from time, and it's just beautiful that as soon as you just said that, my mind just went back that way. Like you see, it's something that I'm attracted to your name. I'm admiring your name, and then you tell me that it's of Arabic heritage, and I'm like, wow, see, so I would have just been going like, I'm there, and where's that name from? And then I wasn't even expecting Arabic, but there's so many links that we have that we intertwine in so many ways that if we
yeah,
just set aside the artificial walls that have been created to separate us, which this podcast is about, we wouldn't, we get to learn and see how we are connected in so many ways, so
yeah,
that's why I began with your name. So you're not from United States, you're from across the pond. So introduce
yeah.
us to where you were born and your neighborhood, where you're from.
So I'm born and raised in the United Kingdom in London, East London, Stratford. My neighborhood is a very diverse, multicultural neighborhood. There's a lot of African presence. There's a lot of Asian presence.
Mm.
There's a lot of Eastern European presence. So it's a very diverse neighborhood. It's not a I would say it's equivalent to your type of Brooklyn. It's very like it's got its ups, it's got its downs, it's got its safe neighborhoods, its dangerous neighborhoods, but it's what I call home, if that makes sense. It's home, innit? Everything,
Yeah,
everyone knows everyone, and it's yeah, it's home.
that's nice. So um for you, as a looking back to your childhood days, what do you consider your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, when I was young, me and my friends used to knock on people's doors and run away. Not like Ninja. It's a English game, and I remember we used to chuck eggs
Yeah.
at people's houses. But when you're young, you just do some crazy
Yeah, we,
stuff.
we 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 all did, man. We all had
Yeah,
stories like that. That's why I laughed, man. Yeah, yeah. I had my fair share of stuff like that, and
yeah,
on an earlier episode with um, I can't recall what episode that was, but I had two sisters who were born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago before moving to New York,
yeah.
and they were telling me that when they moved to New York, it was like their first time they saw people making out in public.
Wow.
That was like something they had to adjust to seeing. People of all sexes, making out, and of
Yeah,
all genders. I mean, um, and I was talking about first time as a kid back in Nigeria, where I was born, and you know, I saw. I think I was probably 8 or 9, and a friend of mine was on a swing sitting on the very top, and he could see across the fence into the street, and we saw a man and a woman making out. And we were very conservative back then. That was something you
yeah,
never saw. Like even my elder
yeah.
sister's wedding,
Cool.
when she got married to her husband, it was like a peck. That was when they say you may kiss the bride. I was like, that's it.
Yeah,
We ain't no understand romance. Romance was in movies. We didn't see,
yeah, yeah,
nobody saw that stuff. So seeing a man and a woman kissing and making out full time, in broad daylight, I was like, whoa, you committing a scene. And
yeah.
the kid on top tells the kids down like, hey, come up. And everybody climbs up. Get stones. And we start throwing stones at them. Like, what are you doing? Why was that the first thing that came to our mind? But hey, that was
So when
that
you're young,
that's where our
when you're
minds were back then. And yeah, but it's the only that's all we could just do then. It was that's to us we thought we were doing the right thing, but there were so many times when we saw a chicken or we saw a lizard, you gotta stone it, man. We just had to pick a stone and just start chasing it around. And yeah, so we did stuff, ran up on neighbors' houses, that man, we did stuff like that too. Yeah, especially during festive seasons with the what they call the little fireworks. It's not like the big fireworks. We had I think it was knockout. We called it, where you just light. It's like matchsticks. You light it and you just
oh, yeah,
throw
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Pa pa
And it makes
pa.
a noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
we were a nuisance with that stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, we had fun with all that stuff. So yeah, it was our own ways. Eggs were too expensive for us to throw.
yeah. We used to cut eggs, and we used to get cold eggs from the shop, and we used
Yeah.
to put it in flour, you know. And then
Oh.
you put the egg in the flour, and you chuck it, and it pops. It's gonna stick because the flour is gonna
Woo.
like. That's dangerous, man.
Wow. So what happened if any one of you got caught?
Pardon?
What happened if any one of you got caught?
Oh, they were. Someone has to explain to someone's mother why so and so is in trouble, you know. So, but, you know, when you're young and you're wild, you're free, you're just
Oh
being a
man.
child, you know.
Yeah.
That's the privileges that you have when you're young and free. You got no responsibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that's another beauty of this podcast. Like, different parts of the world. Different. Yes, it's not exactly the same environments, but there's so much. There's so many things that we went through, and so many things that we did that you still see the similarities. So yeah, so every time we travel back in time, it's funny. That's why whenever I meet people from different communities, we can always have something to chat about and laugh and look back, and it's just funny and say, yeah,
So,
this is what we went through during our days. ah. So going through, still sticking to your earlier days,
yeah.
um, who were your inspirations or role models when you were younger?
Oh, when I was young, role models. I was always into hip hop and
Mm.
football. Well, you call it soccer, but we call it
I,
football, you know.
I
So,
grew up calling it football, but
oh, okay,
yeah.
okay, cool, cool, cool. But I know about Americans and Australians; they call it the opposite, you know, the opposite thing.
Yeah.
But I was always a child that was into sports, so I always played football. I
Mm.
loved playing football. So I really looked into like David Beckham, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, you know, the famous footballers, JJ Kocher, you know, the famous ones.
Yep.
And then music wise, I always listened to Tupac and Biggie, so they always
Mm.
like, yeah, I was kind of influenced, and Aaliyah and Left Eye, like Lisa Left Eye Lopez. So I was always into that type of genre. So the people that they kind of inspired me in terms of music wise, but then yeah, I was just, let's just say I was a child that was always like, I had a lot of energy.
So when you played, who did you play like? When you played football, who did you play like?
I was a goalkeeper, so I was in goal. Yeah, I used to stop the shots, and they used to call me like a very good goalkeeper. So I started playing football from young, and then I stopped playing football from the age of 16, 17. And then from the age of 16, 17,
Yep.
I got into college. I studied mechanics, but I didn't really take it seriously because I wasn't. I was always a person like I didn't want to study. I don't know why. I was a bit different. I was a bit weird. And then I started to work from, let's say, 17. I got into hospitality, started working in restaurants and in kitchens and all that.
Okay.
And then I got into a drama school from the age of 18, and I started performing arts because I really loved to be on the camera.
Mm.
So I got into drama school from 18. I stopped going to drama school from the age of 21, 22. And then I just started, like, just stayed full time in hospitality. But
Okay.
at the same time, I was trying to find myself in life. I was trying to find, like, what's my passion? Like, what do I
Yeah.
like?
Mm.
And that
Okay.
was, yeah.
All right. So still staying with football, because I played football briefly, but due to some family issues, I couldn't play until I
Yeah,
became a full adult, and now I play for fun with
yeah.
a bunch of dads in the neighborhood. Now I'm a father, so I can. Yeah, I get to play for fun, and I play goalkeeper when I'm tired. I can't do much running anymore, so I play as a striker, like people in Zagi. I stay offside a lot. Yeah, we don't have a ref.
Yeah, yeah,
But when I get really tired, and then I go stay in goal. But if I don't have gloves, yeah, I'm not playing goalie. No, no, because some people like to take it too serious. So when they shoot at me, I'm like, hey man, good, just go score, just go get your goal, man. But
yeah,
yeah, if I play goalie, I'm like an Ika Casillas or Gigi Buffon. Those are like some of my
okay,
goalies. But
yeah,
on the African side, I'm what's this Cameroonian dude's name? Nkono was one of the goalies, but the more modern goalies among the modern guys is I like Onana. Onana
Yeah.
is
No,
yeah,
he's good.
he's really good. I like him. I think to me he's one of the. I rate him as Africa's best. But the Egyptian guys who never left the continent too are also
Yeah,
fantastic. Egypt has always had very good goalies too. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm big on African football. I always support African teams at the
yeah,
World Cup. So that's my first love right there.
yeah.
But yeah. So did you support a London team or?
Yeah, Manchester. Well, Man United is the team I support, but West Ham is my local team because I'm
Oh,
based in
okay.
East London.
Yeah, I was about.
Yeah.
I would have been surprised if you didn't have a London team for someone born in
But what's your
London.
team?
I don't have any EPL team. I have a British team which is Celtic,
Okay.
but yeah, I have teams everywhere. Like my favorite league is the Italian league because I don't have one team in Italy. I like a bunch of teams. If they all win, I'm okay. But
Yeah.
I just love Italian football. It's very tactical. I love the tactical style. I started with defensive football back in the days, so I just love defense. So that's Italian football was my first attraction when it came to club football. But I came up with national football, so the World Cup was my favorite. That was my favorite competition because I got to know countries. That's how I got to know about other people existing and seeing other nationalities. But at club level, Real Madrid is the number one club. Borussia Dortmund, Olympic Marseille, and then the rest are mostly African clubs.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in the United States, it used to be DC United, but I'm not. I can't really call myself a true fan, but because I lived
Let's move
around
to America.
DC United. I moved to New York 2014, and New York only had one team, and then they had a second team, and I'm like, I don't know if I should which team I should support. And something I tried, but my friends like fighting too much. Like, support the richer team, and I support. I'm like, DC
Yeah.
United is the first team, so I just stay with that team. They all suck. My friend's gonna get mad. I said that. Yeah, but I don't know. The MLS is still. I don't know. I'm not really attracted to MLS. It's
Yeah.
yeah, but you know, I prefer my African football because we don't have the support that we should have. Things are not
That's right.
there, so it's more joy for me watching that than watching MLS because MLS had started with the money. The money was already there. It's like everybody just threw the money and everything that we didn't get in Africa. We have to fight for hours. We don't have the enough slots at the World Cup and all that. And
Yeah.
it's like they just everything is here. It's like, wow, you guys just get it, and I'm like, so it's hard for me to commit 100% here. But
Yeah.
I just rather play for fun here. Playing for fun here is fantastic. I play with a bunch of dads, and we are from everywhere, and it's fantastic. So I rather enjoy that more than the watching. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, yeah, yeah. So going forward, have you been to any of the grounds to watch games?
Yeah. I've been to West Ham's old stadium and another
Oh,
stadium
Upton Park.
in the UK. In the UK,
Yeah.
but I've been to the stadium in Spain
Oh,
and one
which
in
stadium in
Argentina.
Spain?
Las Palmas.
Ah,
That's a fucking big stadium. That's a very big stadium. Yeah.
okay.
Crazy. Spanish fans are very crazy.
Yep. So yep. So I've heard. So I've heard. I haven't been
Yeah.
to it. I was supposed to go and I was supposed to go one time and then I fell in love and went somewhere else.
Lucky man.
But hey, the things we do for love. uh, so you grew up in a very diverse community,
Yeah.
and would you consider your interaction well, like you interacted with people who were from different ethnicities to yourself, right from childhood, right?
Yeah.
Was it different when you met somebody who wasn't from your community or your neighborhood growing up, in your early days? Was the interaction different when you met someone who wasn't from that
Because
neighborhood?
it was everything was pretty much the same because I went to a school
Hmm.
that was very multicultural.
Okay.
So because I live in an area that's very multicultural, then I'm going to a school that's multicultural.
Yep.
Everything fits well, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So you got different nationalities
Yep.
all in one neighborhood, then you got different nationalities all in one school. So it's pretty much basically, it's like when you go to school sometimes, it's like basically like you're in your neighborhood because so and so lives 2 minutes around the corner, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or you see so and so around, in the neighborhood. So my school was very like it was very diverse. It was a very like multicultural school. So I really like I was I was learning at the same time because obviously you're learning about different cultures, different religions,
Yeah.
different languages. So I think that was like the benefits of me going to a school that is very diverse.
Yeah. So that in a way was already preparing you for the future without you
Yeah,
realizing
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's right.
Mm. Okay. So stepping aside from you as a traveler, you as the well, it might include you as a traveler, but no, stepping aside from everything we've talked about a little
Yeah,
bit, um, let me just ask this question that might be out of the blue.
yeah,
It's involved. It's more of you as an adult now. We're going into the
yeah.
adult person. So how do you deal with setbacks or handle failure as from with everything that you've learned, from all the interactions? I should have asked this question much later, but
Yeah.
I just felt asking it now.
How do I deal with setbacks and failure?
Yeah.
For me, I believe in two words, and I always say this in some interviews that people have interviewed me. I believe in time and consistency. So without time, you're never ever going to prevail and do anything. And without consistency, you're never going to get to where you're meant to be heading.
Mm,
So, but then at the same time, there's always going to be setbacks and there's always going to be failure because nothing's perfect.
that's right.
Unless you live from a silver spoon, and I don't live from a silver spoon. So nothing's perfect. So let's just say, like, there's been, like, for example, I've got a setback now. I shouldn't be in the UK. I should be somewhere filming right now
Mm-hmm.
in another country, or I should be with my partner in South America.
Mm-hmm.
Like I should be doing certain stuff. But because this is a pandemic and this is a setback, but the only way for me to prevail in this setback is just to be consistent in my work. And
Mm,
then eventually the right time will come and then everything will fall in its place. So I just believe like certain things happen for a reason. So whenever I get a setback or failure,
yeah,
I need to learn and educate myself. Okay, how can I prevent this from happening again?
that's beautiful. Um, and I would like to add that even those born with a silver spoon still face setbacks, but they just
Yeah.
have a larger cushion to bounce back on in
yeah,
comparison to the you and I, you know. So, so yeah, that's
yeah,
just the difference. But yeah,
yeah,
you know, because sometimes people like a lot of people do this thing where we magnify certain people who, and I'm not against anyone born with a silver spoon, but
yeah,
I'm against telling the story of someone who is quote unquote rich and wealthy, and you're like, oh, this person is successful and was single-handedly self-made, and like there's no self-made person, to be honest, there's none. And we have an example with the current US president. Dude never made any money by himself. He inherited the money. But that story is not told properly. And people tend to say, oh, he made his money. And when you start telling the story that way, it ignores setbacks, which includes all the companies he's bankrupted, and with all the money he inherited, it's easy for him to bankrupt a company and go to another bank, get a loan, and then go. But if you bankrupt a company, who's going to give you a loan to go restart another company? Something like that is not told in the story. So when someone is magnifying that guy, like, oh, I want to be like him. You're a poor guy, but you're like, I want to be like him. I want to be like, but you're like, so where's your cushion when the setback, the inevitable setback happens? Where is
yeah.
the cushion that will catch you when you fall? There's none. And then when it happens, and then you like, what? That person's now struggling. You're looking dumb, and then that's how people take their lives sometimes because. everything is like the whole world is dropping down on them. But if we tell the story the way it should be told, like failure is part of life. Things are not, the self-made is not just, no, nobody's just self-made. Some people have already been set up from the beginning. Some get into the right networks. Some get the right connection on the way. And it's different ways for different things for different people. And it's everybody's story is different. But
True.
the moment we just advertise it and say, oh, it's like a 2 hour movie. This person was born today. Tomorrow, the person just became a millionaire out of hard work. Like, come on, everybody. I mean, a lot of people are working hard. The janitor works hard. The guy who's selling ice cream works hard. The waiters work hard. Why they not millionaires? You just don't
Yeah.
become a millionaire like that. And so that's why I try to tell some people, like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. It's not, that story is not complete. If you tell the
Yeah.
complete story and show the setbacks and how they overcame those setbacks, what were the mechanisms used to overcome the setbacks, then the story doesn't look as sexy as it's sold out there. And then it becomes, oh, do I really want to go through that route? And so that's why I love your answer, and that you said time and consistency, because you recognize already that, yeah, setbacks happen, and you
Yeah.
still need the time and consistency to bounce back. And
That's
it's
right.
it's something that some of us did not recognize from the start. We were like, yeah, yeah, I can make it, I can. And then when the setback hit us, we're like, wait, what am I doing wrong? Am I well, you start judging yourself unnecessarily, and you don't realize that it's normal, it's natural. You don't have to beat yourself to death just because a setback happened. Like, look at this pandemic. Yeah, that there's no, whose fault is it that it happened?
It's
It's
true.
there were leaders who did not act up to prevent it. They could have prevented the impact on the common man, yes, but the common man did not create the pandemic. We didn't create it. So
That's true.
we're not going to be beating ourselves that it happened, but we can evolve from this happening. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's so. Those are lessons that I hope people will take and learn, from stuff like this. So, jumping back to BlackMan,
Yeah.
what was the first experience or the first thing that happened to you that created that spark that made you say, I need to travel, or I need to go outside of London and start going into the world?
So basically, I was um I was facing certain difficulties in my life. I was mixing around with the wrong people, hanging around with the wrong people. I saw a lot of people like go in jail or having certain issues with certain people in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I was going through certain stages in my life where I need to find myself. So it was 2017. I decided I'm going to leave the UK, but I will be going to either three countries, but I need to decide which country I want to go to have a working visa with my partner. So it was either Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. And then we looked up on Australia. Some of our friends went there, blah, blah, blah. I went to Australia and I just met so many people all around the world.
Mm.
People that changed my perspective in life in the way I was visualizing life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just saw life as just like, okay, it's life, I'm here, I don't care, you know what I mean? So when I went to Australia and I met so many backpackers and they're telling me that they went to this country, they went to that country, they met these people, they met that people, they showed me videos. I said, fuck, man, I mean, that's something that I want to do with my partner, And then at the same time, I'm trying to find myself in life. I'm trying to find my purpose, if that makes sense. And
Where
then
in Australia did you meet? Did you come across backpackers?
in Sydney.
Sydney. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was in Sydney. It was first time of the day. It took us 2 days to get there. It was hot. It was like 40 degrees.
Yep.
And for me, it was the best choice I've ever made in my life.
Mm.
And then, I met so many backpackers because we was a backpacker as well. So we was exchanging knowledge.
Yeah.
I was giving my knowledge. They were giving me their knowledge. My partner was also exchanging knowledge as well. And then that's how I got the whole concept. That's how the YouTube journey started. It all started from Australia. And one of my friends, called Loretta. I went to school with. She kept on recommending me start a YouTube channel, and I was like, no, I don't want to, because I was traveling before, but I wasn't documenting it. I was just putting it just like on Instagram and Facebook. And then she said to me, "There's no person of color like you that travels or that's doing certain stuff, so you can inspire people."
Okay, wait a minute. You were traveling
Yeah,
before this trip to Australia.
yeah, correct.
So what was the difference between your earlier travels and this trip to Australia?
So my difference between the early travels is I was just going to countries around Europe, like France and Italy and Spain, and I was just wasting money. If that makes sense, I was just like 5-star hotels with my partner. You know, I was just doing stupid stuff. And then the difference between Australia is I met people that saw life in a different way.
Hmm.
I met backpackers that stayed in hostels, that done hitchhiking, that done 24-hour bus journeys, and I'm not used to that. I
Hmm.
come from London, and I'm a city boy. So for me to hitchhike in London, it's very weird.
Yeah.
So that's something Australia changed everything for me. It changed the way I saw life because I met backpackers that were traveling in this way, but me and my
Hmm.
partner weren't traveling in that way. I was traveling the other way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So would you say it was like Australia got you out of a bubble? You realize you were in a bubble all this time?
Correct. Yeah. It got me out of the bubble. And once I came out of that bubble, that's when I started to see life like, wow, like life is beautiful. But
Hmm.
then you need to live it to, to the fullest. Not just follow everything that's systematic. You don't always have to travel and stay in a 5-star hotel
Yeah.
or in an Airbnb. So that's when I started to change my concept of life.
One thing I like about what you said when you met the backpackers is that you all shared knowledge,
Yeah,
and I I used to do couch surfing,
yeah. Oh, cool.
and I haven't done it in a while since I had my daughter and well moved to my current apartment. In a little bit, I'll get back to it later on. But
Yeah,
the beauty of why I enjoyed couch surfing was that I could meet people and also share knowledge. You know, you got to
yeah,
host people and interact with people, and it's always beautiful when you get people in your home, you share with them, and you share what you have with them. Because when I travel anywhere, I want to experience where I travel to. You
yeah,
know, but what I consider experiencing where I go to is not yeah, if like some people say they want to stay in yeah, you can go stay in a hotel if you want to, that's on you. But
yeah,
if I don't meet the people from the place that I've been to, if I don't eat their food, like I stayed in the Middle East for some time when I was in the Navy, and
yeah,
a lot of my friends were like, let's go eat at McDonald's, let's go eat at Burger King, and I was like it didn't make sense to me that I'll come all the way from United States and I'll come here thousands of miles away, and then I'll still go be eating the same food I was eating back
yeah,
home. You understand? But
yeah,
they have food here. What food do you guys eat? So when I took a taxi, I asked one of the taxi drivers, like, "Hey, what do you eat? Where do you go to for fun? What kind of stuff do you do? Like, well, yeah, what do you like?"
yeah,
And he was like, people don't ask him this type of questions. You know, these aren't the type of questions he gets. And I was just like, yeah, just tell me something, give me something. She was like, do I want to eat Moroccan food? I said, I haven't had Moroccan food. Or no, I said, yeah, I think Moroccan food. I even forgot when I had the Moroccan guest that. I think that's why when she mentioned the Moroccan meal, I didn't want it, but it was couscous. Now I remember. But
yeah,
he took me to a place and I tried the food. Yeah, and but I was trying street food. I'll see people eating. I'll go try their street food, and that's a habit that I have now. That everywhere I've been to, but I ate street food in Nigeria. Did I die? I didn't die, but I've been to many places, and it's just like. But some people like, but I get some people's fear. I don't have to. It's not like I'm bashing them, but some people it takes some people have to be at a certain level before they can come out of that. That fear, that apprehension that they have. But for me, where I am right now is I can't say I've been to a country and everything I had was the exact same thing that I was having in New York.
Yeah.
No, I have to have what you people eat, drink, enjoy over there. Otherwise, I won't count it that I've been to your country. I won't. I just won't.
Like a
It doesn't
local.
count. Yeah, that's why I hang out with the locals, and most places that I've been to, I have friends there who are locals, and they always enjoy my company because they're like, you don't act like the rest. When you come here, you're like, I want to. What is it? Where is it? I want to see it. Take
Yeah.
me there. I want to experience your place. I want to experience it, the good, bad, and the ugly. Let me see it. And if I don't like it, okay, fine. But let me try it at least. Let me give it
Yeah.
a try. So, and people, that is part of the sharing of exchange of knowledge and information. Because
Correct.
how would you how would you come to the conclusion that you don't like something if you haven't tried it?
True.
You can't just come there and be judging like, oh, their food looks ugly. Well, the food looks ugly. Did you taste it? You have to taste it. I don't say you should go eat every single food. If you don't, if you're only there for 2 3 days, you might not be able to eat all. But at least there's stuff you can try. You give it a try, and but it humanizes the people too. A friend of mine who I interviewed, he was in was it Kazakhstan? I forgot him. One of those countries in that area, and he went for the local massage, and he said his body has never been bent by a man that way. And it's still on my list. It's something that when I go to those areas, I'll go try it too. Get that
Yeah.
massage, bend my body. But it's part of the experience. It's part of the exchange of information, and it's stuff that people need to be encouraged to go see and try because there's no if you try keep doing that, you can't have certain stereotypes in your head. You can't have certain discriminations that you'll be encouraging. You'll be agree with because you see the people as human beings. It starts with that. When you start seeing people as human beings, you can't just go with one way of thinking and say it starts with seeing people as human beings. But you have
Yeah.
to be willing to experience. You have to be willing to give it a try. So yeah, that's why it was beautiful that you guys shared it begins that sharing of information. Sharing of information isn't just from one person; it's from it's both parties. You know, so yeah, that's so cool. So you meet these backpackers in Sydney.
Yeah.
What was the first thing apart from after your interaction with the backpackers? What was the first thing that stood out to you about Sydney?
Ooh, Sydney. It was tall buildings, man. Taller than in London.
Hmm.
Skyscraper
Yeah.
buildings. Um, it was hot. I've never felt that hot in my life. It was boiling.
Hmm.
You know, it was like a mini America because I've been to America before, and Sydney was just like it's very fast paced.
Oh, really?
It's the financial capital of Australia, so it's a
Oh,
very
okay.
fast-paced city. There's always things happening.
Yep.
I really love Sydney, man. I think it's better than London in terms of apart from the nightlife,
Yep.
the city itself is beautiful, man.
What's up with the nightlife?
Nah, not for me, man. Too much electronic music. Not for me. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
someone from London, you weren't down with the electronic music?
Nah, I'm okay, brother, man. I love my hip hop, my Afro beats, my jazz.
Ah,
Too much electronic music is not for me, brother.
oh, man. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. So from Sydney, you returned back after that to the UK?
Nah, so I stayed 2 years in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2 years straight. I just 2 years and almost let's just say 3 years, almost 3 years, and then I came back to England last year May.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
um were you making trips from Australia, or were you just how did that work?
yeah, yeah. From Australia. So what I done in between Australia, I went to Indonesia and Bali, and then I just started to understand the culture more. And then I stayed in Australia for another whole year. And then when I left Australia, that's when I started to travel in between all these countries in the last year in the pandemic. And that's when I started to film.
Hmm. Uh, Indonesia. I have a question about Indonesia.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd like to get your perspective there. Did you go? You didn't go to Thailand?
yeah. I went to Thailand last year.
Okay, Thailand also. All right.
Yeah, yeah,
But Indonesia, I have a question about Indonesia. It was I took a taxi once. Well, it was an Uber. And, well, taxis, just Uber taxis. Um,
yeah,
and I always have a conversation with my drivers. You know, I consider them my homies, and as from their names, we always start a conversation. And New York, they're always international. They always have an international background, and
yeah,
um, almost all the drivers I've taken have, I think, maybe only one or two have. No, I rarely get the same country twice. I rarely do. They're
yeah,
almost different countries. So there was this day, this guy picked me up, and I was like, I can't place his name. I can't place. I tried because I'm good at guessing where names are from.
yeah.
And I tried, and then I finally got his name. He gave me a clue, and I was like, wait, he said Bali. I said, oh, Indonesia. He was like, yeah. I was like, man, you're the first person from Indonesia I've met. Like, he was like, oh, cool. And he was like, so I was like, oh, you want to guess where I'm from? And he tried, and he couldn't guess mine either. So I was like, touche. Uh,
Yeah,
and we started chatting, and he was like, "Oh, I should visit Indonesia." I said, "Yeah, I should. I should. If I had stayed longer in the Navy, because I was trying to get stationed in Japan, but
yeah,
I didn't get approved for that. So that's when I was like,
yeah,
yeah, there's no point. I'll get out. So if I had gotten to Japan, I probably would have visited Indonesia and all the islands around. But he was like, oh, if I go to Indonesia, I shouldn't tell them that I should just say I'm from America. I should only say New York. I shouldn't
yeah.
mention the Nigerian side. They don't like the Nigerians get discriminated against.
Is it?
Yeah, in Indonesia. So I was wondering if you got any signs of something like that.
Nah. Hospitality in Indonesia for me was one of the best people that I've met. They are very polite. Hospitality is amazing. I felt safe. It was good. The only discrimination I got in Southeast Asia, really and truly, was when I was in Singapore.
Interesting.
I
Which I
got to the
wouldn't have
airport.
expected.
Yeah, even I was probably expected to either be in Indonesia or like because I went to Vietnam as well. No, when I was in Singapore, they thought I was a drug dealer in the airport
Oh, okay.
because of all
Yeah,
the
yeah, they're
stuff.
very strict about.
Yeah. I
You,
had I've got a lot of stamps in my passport,
hmm
and they kept asking me, "Why do you travel? Why do you travel?" And I said to them, "What type of question do you ask a human? Why do you travel in the airport?" You know. And then they didn't like the answer that I gave them. And then they said to me, "How do you make your money?" I said, "I just left Australia. I lived 2 years in Australia. Everything was legal. I had all my pay. I had all my pay slips by email to show them that I had the correct financial income.
yeah.
Everything was legally, but they couldn't buy it,
Mm-hmm.
and they were looking, looking,
Because
looking, looking, looking for something.
I'm
So
pretty sure they're only used to seeing white,
yeah,
white
yeah,
travelers as the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
vloggers.
yeah.
They rarely
And
see black people
of course. And when
as
I had the camera, they
yeah.
said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I make videos on YouTube." So they couldn't believe me. I said to them, "If you can just type my name on YouTube, the same picture you see in front of you is the same picture you're going to see on your phone or on your tablets." And then they double check, and then they saw me, and then they apologized, and I said, "You know what? I don't like this. I'm never ever going to come back to Singapore. So I'm never going to go back. I'm going to try to avoid going to the airport."
Uh,
Because they treated me very bad. Yeah, they kept me there for like 40 minutes, 1 hour, and I had a transit as well. That's why I
mm.
had to go to Singapore. I was
Oh,
getting
so
from
wow, it was just a transit.
Yeah, it was just a transit. I
Man.
had no purpose of going there. I was going from Sydney, Australia to Singapore, Singapore to Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only way to get to Vietnam. And then they were refusing me to jump on my flight. I said, "Look, I need to leave this airport."
Wow. Yeah, because I watched this show on YouTube, Black Experience Japan, and he's been expanding to cover other black professionals before the pandemic. He expanded into covering other black people living in other Asian countries around
Yeah.
Japan. So one of the countries he had been focusing on was were people in Singapore,
Yeah.
and a lot of them were like, "Oh, this is the place they all left dealing with racism in Western countries, and they moved here and they don't deal with racism." And it's one thing that one of my favorite podcasters, the Black Guy Who Tips, has always mentioned that it's no matter where you go, there's always racism, but it depends on you can say it doesn't exist, but it's always there.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you can say because like all the people, I'm not doubting them that they don't experience racism there because they've dealt with racism all their
Yeah.
lives, but they're not in a profession where they have to travel a lot as a vlogger. So
Yeah.
now being in that position where they travel a lot, you get stamps, and then Singapore being so strict because that's the thing with Singapore. For all the goodness, all the good stuff that the good praises, it's very strict when it comes to its
Yeah.
drug policies. Unforgiving. There's no forgiveness. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter
Very
if you
strict.
have 1 ounce of weed. It
Yeah. Yeah.
treats you like you bringing all the cocaine in the world into his country. Then they slam you. So you know, people just take that and say, "Oh, they are doing good here, so we're not going to talk about this side where they can still exhibit racism and discriminate against someone like yourself." So it's Singapore's loss. Anyway, at the end of the day, it's their loss. Well, we shall take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hi everyone, your host Raphael Harry here. I can't believe we've gone past our 1 year anniversary of doing White Label American. I've had the privilege of speaking with some amazing people sharing their modern day immigrant stories. And you've allowed this Nigerian immigrant to share parts of his immigrant journey through this podcast. Also, one of my goals of this podcast is breaking down artificial walls that keep people from getting to understand each other. Based on your wonderful feedback over the last year, I think we have done a decent job in breaking down some of those walls. We would like to continue and expand on this mission, but we need your help. I've had an amazing time creating and producing episodes for this show largely on my own. We have a lot of ideas for new and exciting content to expand upon the mission, but we need direct support from you, our listeners, which is why we have created a White Label American Patreon page where you can make a one-time donation or become a sustaining contributor where you can get access to exclusive content, help me interview upcoming guests by submitting questions, and even have the chance to sit down with me for a one-on-one conversation, either virtually or in studio. So if this podcast means something to you, and if you really love this show, think about becoming a sustaining contributor and donating by going to patreon.com/whitelabelamericanpod. Thanks for listening and for the privilege of your company. So we are back, and you went into Vietnam. I've heard great stuff about Vietnam.
Yeah.
Was it a great experience for you too?
Yeah. Vietnam was crazy. Vietnam was where the first video started for the YouTube. I tried snake in Vietnam. That was crazy as well.
Did it taste like chicken?
Yeah,
You read my mind.
Yeah. It does taste like chicken, man. I had a yellow belly snake in Vietnam. I stayed in a homestay in Vietnam. Everything started in Vietnam. Like my first videos, interacting with people around the world. like in Southeast Asia, and
Mm.
it was amazing. I was there. I think I was there for 3 weeks. It was
So,
experience.
do you out of all the places that you've been to, if you had to
Yeah.
pick one place to make your home right now, like okay, this is it.
Ooh,
You're given the
one,
opportunity,
one place.
yeah, to move to someone like here's a check, move to one of these places, settle there. What where would that be?
I'm gonna have to say 4 countries because I can't really pick.
Whoa, four. All right.
I would say number one would be Turkey.
Okay. And why?
So beautiful. Hospitality number one in the world. I
Mm.
think it has everything. It's got beaches. It's Mediterranean. The food is amazing. Turkey for me is good. Number two, I would say maybe Australia because it's blessed with natural beauty in general.
Don't all the animals want to kill people there?
I've, I've killed snakes. I've seen wallabies. I've seen kangaroos. So I'm okay with the animals. Yeah. Animals don't really bother me. Don't bother me. I would say Australia second. The third, I would say Argentina because it's very beautiful as well. Good food.
Mm.
It's blessed with beauty as well, natural beauty. And then the fourth, I would say Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil is very beautiful as well, and it's
I
very.
don't think you can mention Argentina and Brazil in the same list. Are you trying to start a civil war or something?
Now I would say Brazil, man. Brazil reminds me of home of Africa. It's got the African cultureness, and even though it's a bit dangerous,
It
but
is
people
technically an
are.
African country, but I don't think most Brazilians like to hear that. But it is an African country. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, um, I think you've given a clue to this answer,
Yeah.
but I'll still ask the question. So, from
Okay.
all your travel,
Yeah.
what's your favorite cuisine that you've had?
Favorite cuisine. I would say Turkish. I would say a Turkish kebab is one of the best cuisine that I've had when I've traveled. The Turkish food, it has a lot of flavors in them. It has a lot of spices. It has a
Mm.
lot of art in Turkish food. So I would say the Turkish cuisine is very tasty and very delicate.
I'm surprised you went with Turkish.
Yeah,
That
Turkish all the way.
that beats Vietnamese.
Vietnamese, I didn't like the food. I'm so sorry.
Well, you had snake, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, nah. I mean, the food in Thailand is good. The food in Thailand is good. And Myanmar, I was in Myanmar,
Oh
but
yeah.
I would say, but the Turkish food is just, oh man, it's breathtaking.
Mm.
Yeah,
So, one thing I noticed in some of your videos is you seem to be able to talk to locals even
yeah,
if they don't seem to speak English. Well, you
yeah.
seem to just so how do you know who to talk to and how do you make that work?
So what I do basically, I don't like. You see, when I travel, I try to say to people, the first thing is you need to understand certain words and certain languages, in whatever country you go to.
Mm.
So what I do, I try to learn the basic in every language. So if I was to go to Nigeria, I would try to learn maybe Igbo or Yoruba or something, you know. I'll try to learn the basics. Hello, how are you? Thank you, how much, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
The reason why I do that is because it shows a sign of respect. It means you're respecting other people's culture.
Yeah.
And people are more likely to interact with you because they see a foreigner trying to speak their native language.
Mm.
So that's what I do. And that's how I interact with the locals. I try to say, hello, how are you? How much is it? And that's how and that's how the conversation start.
That's smart.
Even if they don't speak English, I still try my best to speak
Yeah.
their language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least that breaks the ice and they know you're
Yeah,
making
yeah,
an effort. Then they know.
yeah,
And like you said earlier, you don't have to be perfect, but
yeah,
even the local who can't speak English, they'll go the extra mile to help you.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's cool. So let's say the pandemic ends right now.
Yeah.
What's the first place that BlackMan is traveling to?
Right. So I have to go South America to see my partner because she's there in Argentina.
Oh, she's not with you right now.
No. She's there with her family because of like The
Yeah.
pandemic first to be
Oh,
with a
okay.
family. So I'm gonna go to Argentina, but the biggest journey I've got this year, I will be going to India for 4 months,
Wow.
and
Where in India?
I'll be starting off in Delhi,
Okay.
and then I'll be doing Rajasthan all over Goa. But then I will be going to Pakistan and Bangladesh in between. I will be going to those two countries as well.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
big.
so that's gonna be very a very exotic, colorful new adventure that I'll be doing, and I will be hitchhiking. I will be doing cross border videos as well, so I'll be making my content more raw. I'll
Okay.
be going through immigration by foot, doing cross borders videos. I will be doing hitchhiking from Pakistan to India or India to Pakistan. So I will be showing people what it's like to jump in random people's cars because I do hitchhiking as well.
All righty. So,
Yeah.
how do you deal with you know, does your family show? Did they say their concern, safety concerns? Your friends say
Yeah,
safety concerns. So, what's your response when people bring up safety concerns?
they call me crazy. They say, Ameer, BlackMan Da Traveler, you're a crazy man. How can you hitchhike in random people's cars? But in terms of security wise, when I do hitchhiking in around the world, I go on Instagram and I make a live video to show the driver and the people, look, I'm here with blah blah blah.
Okay.
So at least people can see that the last person I was seen with was with this person. I will send my location, my WhatsApp location to like my partner and some other people. Because whenever I travel, I always tend to buy a SIM card of that country. So I
Yeah.
always have internet.
All right.
So when I send my location on WhatsApp and when I make a live video Instagram, that should cover my security concerns.
All righty. So, when you are in a country, do you tap into their music also?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If the music is playing, I'll dance, I'll sing, I'll try to ask them what's this type of music. Me, I'm a type of person I prefer to go to a country and understand their culture and
Mm.
learn and re-educate myself. So I'll try to do less Western things
Yeah.
and try to evolve into their culture, if that makes sense.
So, have you do any of the artists that you've heard from your travels? Have any of them made it into your favorite lists?
Oh no, 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 not yet.
You're still loyal to
Yeah, yeah,
your hip
yeah.
hop.
Still loyal, yeah. I don't mind listening to Indian music or African music or South American. It doesn't bother me as long as it's got a good beat and it's got a meaning.
All right, alrighty. Um, what's your advice to any brother or sister listening that would love to travel like you do? What's the what would you tell? How would you
The best
advise them
advice,
to go?
best advice I can say to people is just do it. Come out of your comfort zone. Don't be scared to try to hitchhike. What I do. Don't be scared to visit a slum because I visit slums as well. Don't be scared to take 24-hour bus journeys, hostels, homestays. I'll tell you why you should come out of the comfort zone because you never know what you could become as a person.
Hmm.
And also you're educating yourself. I always tell people this word like when I traveled, I learned more things than traveling than I learned in the education system, just by meeting people.
Yeah.
They don't teach that. They don't teach that in the education system. I don't know how it works in America, but in the UK, the certain stuff they don't teach you. So when you travel and you learn new languages, you try new food, you learn new cultures and religions and beliefs and ethnic backgrounds. You start to re-educate your mind, and you're thinking, oh wow. So the best advice I can say to people is come out of the comfort zone and just, if you don't have enough money, try to travel at least like domestic in the country that you're in. So at least you
Mm-hmm.
can re-educate yourself. And when you do have the financial needs, just try to go somewhere where you're less likely to go to and just enjoy the journey.
Yeah. There's something my cousin had said. My cousin had alluded to, which I rounded up by saying, "There's not one way to be black,"
Yeah,
and it also goes into the traveling. I had a friend who, well, I'll call him a former friend. I think I lost contact with him a while back, but he had said to me one time that he noticed that I do travel once in a while, and I travel. He's one of those who, when I used to live in Texas, he had said himself and his wife had wanted to travel to places that his wife was of Mexican heritage. Well, I think they'd only gone to maybe one place in Mexico, but like a lot of Americans do that, they just go to a resort and
Yeah,
that's it. They don't go anywhere else. And if you travel, I've done that travel once, and it was like the most disappointing travel in my life because you just stay on the resort. All the food you eat is there, and I'm like, I can't say I've been to this country. It's disappointing. You know, I didn't experience anything.
it's a waste of money.
Yeah, it's a waste of money. And he was like, yeah, but how can I start? Where do I go? And it falls back to this thing of people wanting everything to be perfect because you've trained yourself to be so used to this resort style travel where everything is in one spot.
Yeah,
So why would you let yourself go out? So now it's a bubble you've created now because
yeah,
you're like, why should I travel to, even within my country, right? Within the United States, like he's in Texas. I met people like that. He wasn't the only one. I met a bunch of other people in Texas. They've never set foot outside of Texas. Now, when you're telling them what's happening in other states, how can they relate to that? They can't because
yeah,
they're like, well, why? Why should I? Or like, doesn't make sense. But you just need to go because when you meet somebody, then you have an interaction with that person.
yeah.
Your brain starts to deprogram.
Start
You
something.
unprogram your
Yeah,
brain. The way you've been programmed, it changes, and you're like, wait, what?
yeah,
I've been doing this all. No, no, no. We have been thinking about this has been wrong, and you can't read that in a textbook. You can't. You can read certain things, but you can't just depend on reading because you have to still go and interact. You have to go and experience certain things and learn from the experiences, and that's where the traveling comes in. So I haven't done enough traveling within the United States. I need to improve on that too. But at the
yeah,
same time, there's many countries in the world. You have to still meet people around the world, and that's what the beauty of New York, because there are people from everywhere here. And the more I keep meeting them, everything changes. Information I've had all my life keeps changing every day and changing and changing and changing. And that's why traveling is great, because the more you meet people, the more everything changes and you get better. You should be getting better as a person. You should be improving. And that's all it's about. So people don't have to wait until they can only do international or you can only go to the end of the world. You don't have to blow your whole savings on
true.
traveling. You can do it locally, like you said, and that's why I love your answer. There's people give so many excuses, and it's like it don't have to be that. There's couch surfing. You can stay with a local and get more information.
Yeah.
There's so many
Couch
options.
surfing, hotels,
Yeah, bro.
everything.
So, oh man, I'm so glad you came on the show, man. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
We could do this all day long, but I will have to end it here. But down the line, when this is all over and you go to Argentina, we are going to most definitely have um a part two from there, and
Thank you.
yeah, we'll catch up again. So for the final question,
Yeah.
what is one thing you would like to leave the audience with? Could be a quote, could be a favorite lyric from favorite line from one of your favorite songs. Could be anything you just want to leave the audience with.
The only thing I can leave the audience with, I think I said it before in the podcast, time and consistency are the only things that are going to get you out from your daily struggles.
Mm,
I always say to myself, you need to use your time wisely because this time that we have right now, we're never going to get it back.
yep,
Even if you maybe come on your podcast again, we're not going to have the same energy. You know
true.
what I mean? So I really believe like everything happens for a reason. Everything happens in time. God puts everything in time, whether it's bad or good or whatever. Everything happens in time. So use the time wisely that you have, but be consistent. As soon as you're consistent and use your time, you're going to succeed in whatever you're doing. So that's the only thing I can leave for the audience. Time and consistency are the two key things in life. That's what I think.
All righty, that was beautiful. So thanks again, Amir.
No problem.
Please tell the audience how they can find you and where they can find you.
So basically on my Instagram, it's BlackMan_Da The Traveler. That's my Instagram name. And my YouTube channel is BlackMan space DA The and then Traveler. That's my YouTube name.
Alrighty, and I'll be adding both links to the show notes, and you all please go check him out and enjoy his videos. And I know
Thank
there'll
you.
be plenty more to come in due time.
Thank you
So
very much.
keep doing your thing, Keep up
Thank
with the
you.
consistency, and yeah, time will definitely hook us up one of these days.
I appreciate for letting me come on your platform, and I really respect what you're doing as well. And I wish you guys a successful year as well.
All right, appreciate that, and same to you, brother. And to everyone else, don't forget to subscribe and keep the love coming in. Enjoy your new year, and yeah, I'll see you all at the next episode. And thank you for the privilege of your company. Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, we'll appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. If you have any questions, comments, or have someone who will be a good guest on the show, or you want to be on the show, send us a message at whitelabelamerican@gmail.com. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at White Label American. Thank you for your support.